Well, good evening, all. This is Tom here. Welcome to Cat Crew Wednesday on October 1st of 2025. How's everyone doing tonight? And we'll discuss a few things tonight here. Hope everybody's safe out there. I'm going to say hello to everybody that's in here so far. Gabe, Ronald, Renew. How you doing, Ronald? Welcome. Glad to see you're here. Darren Hamill, welcome. Nice to see you in here tonight. Barbara Duke's here. How you doing, Barbara? Steve from Snoring Rail Productions is here. Steve, if you can post the link, you're more than welcome to do that if you can. Yeah, you have a blue wrench there, so you should be able to post the link to your stream. Let's see who else is here. I think Daz is here. Welcome, Daz. How's things over in the UK? And then we got Randall Ellison's going to be lurking in the background while he's sleeping. Welcome, Randall. Nice to see you in here tonight. And then we got Dave from DB Tech. Hey, Dave, welcome. How you doing, Dave? All right, that's all the hellos so far. Everybody just saying hello to everybody. That's good. Okay, guys, and there's Heath from Humanity Junction. I'm not here. Well, if you're not here, then how are you here? Okay, the other day, I got in two keep alives, and yes, keep alives. Everybody calls them something different. There's current keepers, there's keep alives, depends on who's making them. Well, these keep alives come from Nick's Train Z. He's the guy who makes the decoder buddy board. So he started making keep alives, and it's really, really, really small. So it's called the Power Bridge number 3. It has 2 capacitors, and the board is, I'm going to say, maybe 3 millimeters wide and 6 millimeters long. It's really small, and it can fit anywhere. And then you have a length of wire. You can put the 2 capacitors wherever it'll fit. So a lot of these guys make these current keepers or keep alives. The capacitors are built into the circuitry board, and they get all shrink wrapped. Okay. Well, so I ordered 2 of them for my subway trains, because even after I cleaned all the track, they would hesitate in spot for whatever reason. So now I put them, the current keep alives, in the engines. Did that on Monday after they came in. And okay, Dwight, how you doing? Take care of yourself then. Thanks for stopping in. So I got them in. I tested them on my workbench here. They worked great. Turned it over, and okay, Steve. Well, email me the link, and then I'll post it. If you email me the link, Steve, then I'll post it. Okay. So Then I put the engines up there and I ran them around flawless, no problems at all. So the next step was to put the panels back up, but I'll talk about that in a little while. So those two capacitors keep the engine running for about 2 seconds, which is enough time to skip over a bad spot on the track. So that they worked really well, and I had plenty of room to put them in there, and everything worked out really nice. It took me about half an hour to do each engine, so it wasn't too bad. So I'm happy with those. Uh, I think I have 2 other engines that have decoder buddies in it. I'm going to put those same no problem, Stormy, Steve, no problem. So I got a project to put current keepers or keep alives in all my engines, and I got a couple of soundtrack keep alives, and I got a couple of TCS keep alives or current keepers, whatever you want to call them, and I got a couple of engines that I want to do. So that's another project down the road. I don't need them for now. Some of the main engines already have current keepers in them, but I'm going to do that as a project for a different time. So I put out 2 videos this past week, and one was a short on my park rangers. Now I printed park rangers. I told you guys I was going to do that. Barbara painted them for me, got them all done, and they came out really nice. And I used Meshy AI to create those images that I downloaded off of the internet, pictures. So let me check something here. So they're on my campground scene up on my 5th level. I would show you them, but the trains are parked in front of the campgrounds right now, so I can't. You won't be able to see them on the camera. So, but if you look at my video, you can go. Hey, Floyd Robbins, welcome. Thanks for stopping in. Okay. Here we go. Let me copy this. Okay, there's the link for Steve's Stormy Rail Productions YouTube show on Friday night or Saturday, I think it is. I don't remember what day it is, but that's his link. No problem, Steve. Anytime I can help out, no worries. Okay, so on, I don't know if Dwight's still here, but he wasn't feeling well. But on Dwight's stream this past Sunday, I posted a question for everybody in the channel on something I was working on. And I want to explain what that question was and how it came about. Okay. It was up on my 5th level. Now, about a year ago, I added an extension to my 5th level. And I showed videos of drilling a hole through the beam and all that stuff. And you guys seen the 5th level. That's the fifth level. Down here, that's the farm scene up there with the airplane and all that stuff. That's the fifth level. And there's another fifth level right here. That's the original fifth level. So when I did that extension, I had to have a way of the track that was going around the original fifth level to get onto the tracks that are going around the main loop. So a couple of turnouts and a crossover. So the one track could cross over the other track, so it would be able to continue. So and everything was working fine, no problems. Trains ran great, never had an issue. Cleaned the tracks when they were good and all that stuff. But then one day, I was testing out some new 3D printed well cars, and they derailed on a turnout, and it was turnout number 132, and that's in block number 99. So, and it tripped the circuit breaker, and I reset it. Everything was fine. But I didn't notice that it also tripped the inside track block, the inside track EB1. Each one of my main lines has its own bus line, and it has its own EB1. Okay. So what was happening was when it would derail at that turnout for whatever reason, both EB1s were tripped. And I didn't notice it until the second time it happened. Because after I got the train running, I didn't pay it. I was only running the outside track. I wasn't running the inside track. And I didn't notice that the inside track EB1 was flashing until later on when it tripped again for the same thing. The train derailed again with those new well cars I was testing. And so then I said, why is it tripping both tracks? So I ignored it because then the trains were running, and I don't have very seldom do I have derailments. The only time I have a derailment is I'm testing out a 3D printed car that I made, and the wheels might be not quite right. So BD12 is the bus district 12. That's the bus line for the outside track on the fifth level. And BD11 is the inside track. Okay. So both of them were tripped. So this past weekend, while I was waiting for a few things to happen, I came up with a plan to troubleshoot why it was double, why both EB1s were tripping. So my first thing was to take a screwdriver or a pair of pliers, whichever was easier, and go up there and short out each block on the whole run. Okay, there's 21 blocks on the fifth level, and 11 of them are on the outside track and 10 of them are on the inside track. So I tested each block, and each block tripped both EB1s. And going, okay. So then I said, So then the next day, I said, okay, I'm going to go underneath and check the BD20s, and there was 21 of them that I had to check to make sure that the wires were plugged into the right bus line. Because I did find a while back a track, one of the BD20s, one wire was plugged into one bus line and the other wire was plugged into another bus line. And then when the train hit that, it shorted it out. And that was it. So I thought maybe that was a problem. So I did all 21. I got to the very last one, which was the most difficult one to get to because they were mounted underneath the fifth level on fascia on the back, but the subway system is in the way. So I had to take down a few panels so I can access the BD20s. Well, the last one I checked was on the wrong bus line. It was on 11 and it should have been on 12, or it was on 12, or it was on 12, it should be on 11. I don't remember which one it was on. But so I switched that. I tested, and it still was doing both EV1s, tripping both EV1s when I would short it out. So I said, okay, I'm going to try this. So then I took the EV1 for the outside track and disconnected it from the bus line going up the layout to the fifth level. So now that bus line that goes all the way around the fifth level for the outside track is disconnected from the booster. Okay. So what I have is a NCE PB105. That's a 5 amp booster. Okay. Then it has a plug on it, and two of the screws go to a 12-volt power supply, and the other two are for track. So those two wires for track out goes into a Tam Valley DCC turn-on module that goes to the input of that. The output of that DCC turn-on module goes to a DC concepts meter to the input. The output of the DCC concepts meter goes to a terminal block. And then the terminal block screws get jumped every other one for black and red, black and red, black and red. And then the EV1s, the DCC ports on the EV1 go into the terminal block, and then the track goes to the bus line. It's not that complicated. So I took the BD12 off of the track, disconnected the wires, unplugged them. I went up there, put my track tester on. I still had track power. I go, how in the hell is that possible? So I scratched my head. Now, this is Sunday late. I got to this point. It was Sunday late. And I said, so I sent an email to NCE support. And then I still cannot call them on my phone. So that's a whole nother problem. But I'm still working on trying to get that worked out. So Barbara came over on Monday, and then we called on her phone to talk. I talked to Ed for about 10, 15 minutes. I explained him the problem, and he said to me, well, you figured out what the problem is. You just have to figure out what the cause is. So that wasn't the kind of answer I was looking for, but I said, well, what can I do? He said, well, why don't you, if you're still having power on that line, something's crossed. And I thought that, yeah, too, but none of the wires are connected to it. That shouldn't be. So he said, why don't you cut the bus line in spots, and then you can, hey, Bob, welcome. So I had said, okay, well, if I cut the bus line, then then I got to tie it back together, and I was going to cut it, and then I was going to just go out and get another spool of that wire that I used, and I'll rerun the wire. But I didn't. I didn't have to. I didn't have to cut it because the bus line comes from the EV1, goes underneath the layout, comes up behind all the backdrops, and then it goes up to the fifth level, and then it goes around the one end, and then I jumped on that wire, another pair of the same kind of wire, and ran it around the other way. Okay, because I didn't have enough wire at that time. I had to do it that way. So what I did, first thing I did was disconnected the two wires that were connected to that long lead. And then I put my tester on the track and it was dead. So that's what I expected. Okay. So then as I'm looking up there and I noticed, yeah, that's right, Heath. So then I noticed I had a terminal block in the middle of the fifth level on the one side, connecting the bus lines to extend them, make them longer to go all the way around. Like I said, I was short on wire and I had to piece some pieces together. So it was already cut. All I had to do was disconnect it. So I disconnected the other side. I tested that. They were dead. Track was dead. That's what I expected. So I go, okay, let me pull out the piece of wire because there's something wrong on there, right? So all my feeders are connected with a connector that connect into the bus line. I used to use suitcases, but then they're a pain in the ass to troubleshoot things and take them apart and everything. So I got these clip-on connectors, and they work really well. So there was a group of two blocks at the beginning of the one end of the long bus line. So I disconnected those two, and so let me test it again. I went up there, and lo and behold, the track was dead. I'm going, okay, so it's something wrong with these two blocks. So I looked at the block numbers, and sure enough, it was one of the blocks that was going to that just before that turnout that I had up there, that 132 that was causing all the problem initially. So I put all the wires back together, connected them all, no power on the track. That's what I expected. So I then traced, then I put one of the blocks back on of the two that I took off, and I still had no power. Then I put the other one on, and I had power again. So I said, something wrong here in this block. So I went back to that block, which was on the other side of the layout, and I'm looking, and I don't see nothing. I go, I don't know. So by that time, it was lunchtime, so I had a little lunch. Thanks, Floyd, who's not hitting that like button. So I said, let me check something. I remember this started when I extended the fifth level. So on one side, there's a crossing so that the two tracks the train can cross over from the inside to the outside and stuff like that. And on the other side, it's the same thing. So I went over to the other side where I didn't have a problem, no cross wires or anything there. And I looked at the crossing and the two lines coming into it had insulator joiners on it. I said, uh-oh. Went over to the other side, and there was no insulator joiners on any of them. So I said, there was only one pair of insulator joiners on the through part that went into that turnout. So the power was coming from the inside track through that crossing and giving the outside track power. So I said, okay. I took my number 14 X-Acto blade and snipped off the little clips on the rail, and then I pushed the rail joiners back on one track. I just pushed them back so they weren't touching. I had a little gap in there, no connection at all. I plugged in that BD20 back in, no power. So I said, aha, I figured it out. So I had to lift up the track a little bit to get those metal, the metal joiners off. And then I put 2 insulator joiners in there. Lifting that track out, I was able to pull it from the other end and off, and then stick the insulator joiner ones on, and then drop that end in and slip them back together. It was a lot easier doing it that way. So then that's what it was. It was 2 rails that weren't insulated, and they needed to be. That's how it was causing the both EB1s to trip. It was the strangest thing I've ever seen. So I said, how in the world does it's just like unplugging a light from the wall and the light still is on. That's what it was like. So how the heck can that happen, right? So it took 3 days to find out that. And so now that's all set up there. So I can take the thing on it. I'm going to have to call it a night. Okay, Steve, thanks for stopping in. Have a good one. Hey, JD, welcome. Glad to see you in here. Yes, Touch Gremlins bring joy to the hobby. Yes, it is. It's always good when you figure it out. Sometimes you can't figure out anything, right? But I was happy to get that. Now I can short out the one track, and only that EB1 does. All the manufacturing area up there is on another bus line, and that's another EB1. And I tested those out, and they were only tripping the one EB1 too. So it was good that I did that, because when I had my NCE power supply go out, I had redid the wiring underneath there and all that kind of stuff. But I thought maybe that was a problem, but it ended up being just 2 rails needed to have a insulator joiners on it. So that fixed that problem. So this past weekend, I took Barbara to a rail fest. It was in my town, and we got there, and we got on a little train, and then that drove us, just back and forth a couple times. We were going to go on a train ride, but they were all booked up. That's nice, Bob. So it was a nice day. The weather was beautiful. It was warm, not real hot, not real cold. And we walked around a bit, and they had 3 different areas. We walked you know, in all the areas. And we went into the museum, and that's where I learned that the first train uh, in my town came through in 1862 or 52. I don't know, 62 or 52. And then the year less than a year later, they had passenger service from my town to Hoboken, New Jersey. And so it was a very nice day. We wanted to go on the wine train, but it was booked. So we're going to call up. They run until the end of October. So we'll see. Maybe one weekend we can get out to on the wine train. And it's like a 2 hour out, 2 hours back type of thing. So should be nice. So you have things close to you don't even realize. And Jerry, Boxcar Jerry, he told me about that. I didn't even know it was happening. Then I looked up the information and found out it was close by. It only took me like 5 minutes to drive there, and then we parked the car and we walked around for a couple hours. It was a nice day. So anyway, that was that. I got a new engine coming. I ordered it the other day. It's been shipped. It should be here this weekend. It's for an existing consist that I have. It'll match better with the engine that they're hooked up right now. So that's coming. It's an Atherin GP 18. That's what I'm getting. So that's that. That'll be here probably Friday, I guess. So I was on YouTube the other day, and this video popped up. I said, "Oh, that looks interesting." A guy was making corrugated roofs for his buildings. He had a barn that he wanted to do, and he made a corrugated roofs. And he showed a method that it didn't work out well for him. And I said, that's a little overcomplicated. What he did was he took toothpicks, he put a piece of cardboard down, and I make myself bigger right now. This me. Okay. He took a piece of cardboard, put Mod Podge on it, then he put toothpicks and spaced them out equally. And then he took a piece of this kind of stuff. You cut this out, you make it the size you want. You can roll out all these indents in here, stuff like that, right? Then he took a tongue depressor and filed it down to make it round. And then he put that in, and then he pushed down with that in between the toothpicks. Well, that had a tendency to roll up on it. So it made it, but yeah. If you wanted to do that way, you'd have to make the piece a little longer. Then who cares about what it does on the end? You still have your piece, but that sounded like too much work. But then after he said that, he said, "Oh, you see the tool to the left of me there? That's what I decided to use." So this is the tool. Does anybody know what this is? Kind of bright. But this is a toothbrush squeezer. You put your toothpaste in here, or toothpaste squeezer. You put your toothpaste in here and you squeeze you just turn this and it not a pasta press. This is a toothpaste press. And you put your toothpaste tube in here and turn this. Well, when you put this metal in, this tin in here, and you roll this through, it makes a real nice corrugated roof. So I showed Barbara the video of it. So we're going to make some corrugated roofs for some of my buildings. The 3D printed buildings are flat, and I don't really like them that way. And so these are just more details for the, yeah. And well, this I got on Amazon. It was only $9. So I said, okay. So that's what I'll do. And then I watched a video by Jason Jensen, and he did a real neat looking rust effect on the corrugated roofs, and got all the paints I need. And Barbara and I are going to figure out how to get that on there. So, and that'll make them look rusty. You know, then everything's not shiny and new, stuff like that. So that's another little project that we'll be working on. Get that up there and running, and make it look pretty neat with the roofs and stuff. So, thanks, JD. Yeah. So now that the subway trains were running smoothly on the tracks, it was time to start putting the subway panels up. So I got 3 corners done, and at one long side, I had to take a bunch of panels out because of yeah, I'll do a video of it and show you how we do it, Bob. We'll do a video of that for sure. And we'll show how to make the whole process. We'll do. The guy who I saw this tool off of, he admittedly said, I don't know how to weather things. I haven't done that yet. And he says, I'm going to try that and come up with some methods to do that later. Because he painted his corrugated roofs a green color, and that's what he put on the barn roof, green. But then he did a black wash, a little bit thicker black wash, and then he painted the black on there just to dull down the shininess. So it looked really nice. And but I like to have rusted, because I've seen those kind of corrugated roofs, and 9 times out of 10 they're already rusted. Because when I installed DirecTV, I was on a lot of people's roofs, stuff like that. So I know all about them and seen them. So I looked at that. So I got 3 corners and the panels that I did for the BD20s back in place now. And what I was doing was I'd finish a corner, then I would run the subway trains, make sure they didn't hit nothing. And got them all. So they're clear through 3 corners now. So tomorrow I'll do the last corner and test them. Then I'll run my camera card and finally get that done and get that video and see how that comes out. So it's all coming. Just takes time, because let me tell you, to get underneath that 5th level and work on the subway system, it's easy in some spots, but some spots are pretty tough. And like I'm on a 3-step stool reaching over a couple levels to get to the subway system without breaking anything on the lower levels. And it's really tough. I don't know how many times I broke off one of the oil fillers for the oil tank cars. It's glued on and it has a hose on it. And when the tank cars come in, you fill up the oil. And I snapped that off by my elbow hitting it when I'm coming down. I don't realize, and so I got to be real careful on my movements up there. But to get to some of the panels, I can't reach them from one end or the other. I have to get them face on, and it makes it, sometimes they're hard, but they're all in place now. Everything got to go there. Okay, Floyd, thanks for stopping in. Have a good night, and we'll catch you later. Take care. So, um, so that's what's going on there. Tomorrow, like I say, or maybe tonight after the show, I might go up there and put them on. I don't know. See how good see how I feel after the show. Because you're twisting your back, take a break, relax, stuff like that. So it's always something else. So once that's done, then I'm going to go back down to the first level, make sure all the tracks are clean, because I had those 3 trains running before, no problem. And I got a couple of new cars that I put on those trains, so I want to make sure they all work and everything. So I'm going to, that's the next thing to test. And then probably next week, I might be able to have like 5 trains running for the show. So we'll see. Or even 6 with the one car going back and forth and stuff like that. So then I'm going to work on the lower Grimsby town, which connects to the helix. Make sure that track's clean, run an engine through there with a couple cars on it, make sure it goes through, gets on the helix. The helix needs to be clean, so I'll go from the top and go down. It's easier to pull the car downhill than pull it uphill. So that's another thing I got to do. And then the helix will be clean. And the 5th level, all the track up there will need to be clean. And I just 3D printed a couple of things today. I just 3D printed this. This is a laptop holder. Okay. I had one of these on the laptop out in the train room that I used to stream from. And I put it on there because I like the keyboard up higher. Laptops are flat, then you're going down like this all the time. Not good. So I lifted it up. But then the laptop that I have on the table out there in the train room, which I run JMRI on, all of a sudden the monitor on that laptop kept on falling. The laptop sits like this, right? You got a keyboard here, and then you got the laptop here. It was going backwards like this all the time. Kept on going back, kept on going back, kept on back. So then I said, okay, let me put this on there, and then this will support the monitor. So I took the one off of there and put it on that one, and now it supports the monitor, and that's a lot better. So then today I just 3D printed this guy. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 screws, and boom, simple. It took about an hour, a little over an hour to print this, and it was 4 prints. I printed 2 of these pieces together. I forgot I needed 3, so I had to print one of them, one more, and then the 2 sides. They're different sides. There's a mirror and a regular side. Yeah, that's right. It's really cool. So I'm going to put this out there for everybody. If anyone wants a mini me of you, all you need to do is send me an email with a full-length photo of you standing up, head to toe, because I can print a bunch of them for you in any scale. Doesn't matter. I do mostly HO scale, and if I have to scale it down, I could just scale down the file to make it N scale or HO scale or O scale or whatever. Just have to tell me the scale you want it in, or if you want it in multiple scales, and I can create it for you. And I'll even mail them out to you. No big deal. So it's simple because all I do is take the photo and put it up in Meshy AI and generate the file, and now I have a image of you. That's how I got the park rangers. I went on the internet and I said U.S. park rangers, and then I clicked on images, and then it showed all the pictures. A lot of them were just pictures from the waist up. I don't want a half of a man or a woman. So some of the pictures were standing up, just like in my video. I showed all the different type of park rangers, and one guy with binoculars, and another one holding a bear, stuff like that, and they printed perfect and generated a file and everything. So if anybody wants themselves, all I need is a full length photo, and it could be you, your wife, your kids, whoever you want. Just, and all you have to do is email me a JPEG file. That's all I need is a JPEG file, and usually they're small enough that they'll fit in an email, so you don't have to worry about that. So you just send them to me, and I'll make them for you. Probably just give me like 1 to 2 weeks to get it done, and I can. I'll be glad to do that for you guys. It doesn't matter who it is, you know. So as long as I can keep one of them to put on my layout, so we can make like a meet and greet group and put them up there. So see, because I don't have to buy an expensive scanner or any of that stuff. You know, you have to stand there, do this. And if you want to take pictures of you doing a special pose, you know, want to stand there, get whatever, get somebody to take the picture for you, pointing or picking your nose. I don't care, or with a camera in it, whatever you want, and I can get it to print. And if I have trouble with it, I'll let you know. Maybe you have to take a different angle of the picture or something like that. So, yeah, I saw that, JD. I saw that, but I didn't get a chance to look at the video. I was in the middle of doing things, getting ready for my show tonight. But I'll take a look at it. A foot massager. Yeah, you can do all kinds of things. Do they have to be clothed? Well, as long as it's not unsightly. Heath. It's been, but you know, there you go, Dave. Well, I have Dave's file already. We got them at Amherst, I think. There was a guy there. He used like 60 cameras in a circle and then took a picture and made. And it was pretty reasonably priced. And that's how I got me. But I'm going to start doing like my family members, and then I can print them and put them by the houses and stuff like that. There you go. Yeah. So, everybody, welcome to send me an email with your pictures, and then yeah, there you go. Yeah. So, I mean, just let me know because It's real easy. Now you're gonna have to paint them. I won't paint them. You'll paint them whatever color you want. You can paint them, stuff like that. Yeah, Bob. Um, that's how I got the park rangers. It was just a JPEG file. So if you take a picture on your phone and email it to me, it's going to come to me as a JPEG file or JPG file, or JPEG is mostly what I use. But um, yeah, and it worked fine. Now I downloaded a couple other pictures of park rangers, and they didn't come out to my liking because there was like 6 of them in an array of some kind, and it didn't come out at all well. They came out real thin and flat. They didn't have no texture to their bodies. The other guys, I downloaded the file, the printout, and boom, they came out nice. They're like regular people. So if I need anything else, now what I've been looking for was like propane workers. The guys that do the propane into your house and stuff. Well, I got the propane trucks. I got the propane tanks, but I don't have nobody to fill the propane into the tank. So next thing is going to find photos of propane tank guys, and then I can print a couple of them. And then I can put them on a layout on the propane trucks, stuff like that. So we got garbage men, okay, printed them, but they were a file I found of this workers, and then Barbara just painted them in colors that looked like garbage men workers, stuff like that for me. So yeah, resin prints. Yeah, all people I print on a resin printer. I've never I tried to print something small on the A1 Mini, and nah. Okay, I tried to print when I put my satellites up on the ceiling. Yep, that's right, Bob. Just pose and take a picture of yourself. That's it. That's all you have to do. Or it'd be easier if somebody else could take a picture of you. But sometimes you can't get your whole, it's too close to you and stuff like that. Get somebody to take a picture of you, head to toe. That's all. Because the feet and everything is important. You can glue that down. That way they stand up. So, yeah, JD, what I was telling you, yeah, everything is small. I print on the resin printer. Okay. Film printer, yeah, because on my mini and on the A1, I wanted to print a hook for the satellite so I can put the clear string through to hold it, hang it from the ceiling. Well, that was a 2 millimeter by 3 millimeter square or rectangle, and it was 1 millimeter thick. The wall was 1 millimeter thick, so that didn't print well at all on the mini or the A1. So I resin printed them, but that didn't work out. So I got some eye hooks, screwed them into the resin, and then hang them from the ceiling. So I got to go get some more because I got the Starlink satellite is going to launch at Friday morning at 9 a.m. So that'll be up there flying around with the DirecTV and the dish satellites. So internet service will be coming to the houses too through Starlink. So maybe I'll 3D print a smaller dish or the internet service. I don't know. Put them on the house. When I used to install DirecTV, some houses had like a whole bunch of dishes on them already and stuff like that. So, especially on houses that were rented, people come in, they get serviced, and they leave. I'm going to go through my photos, Bob, and see who I have, and then I'll print them. Maybe I can do my mom and dad, uh, stuff like that. Because I have in my closet here, I got a big bin of old photos, and yes, that's right, Bob. Um, if you're gonna do modeling with 3D printers, the best thing you can do is get a small resin printer. You don't need a big build plate for resin printing because you don't want to print anything large on a resin printer anyway, unless it has a lot of detail. Okay. So, and then a good sized filament printer plate. And you can do anything with it. You have a resin printer and a filament printer. You can print whatever you need for your layout. Okay. Like I'm always making something, or I working on something and I need a bracket or a brace or something. Go on Tinkercad, print it. Yeah, well, that's the other thing. Well, on Messi, Bob, you can um, remove the background. If the photo's good, you can remove the background. There's a button there, right, on the Messi when you go to add add to 3D to something to 3D. I forget what it is to upload a picture, and then one of the buttons on that this menu item is to remove background. Maybe you need to try that. If that, or is that what you're trying? Because I did that to one photo, and it made the whole image black. Couldn't see nothing. So I deleted it and re-added it again. And I tried to find photos of the park rangers. Like I found one that had like a park ranger vehicle. He was standing next to a park ranger vehicle. That didn't work. Yeah, yeah, that would be true, Bob. But um, if you take the photos yourself, then you won't have any things like that. But if you download photos, that's what you have to be careful of. So the other thing I was working on is the uh, track cleaning card. The first attempt, the parts came out nice, um, but it was a little bit too wide, so I had to reduce it down. But I haven't had a chance to print it yet because I've been busy with that uh, short out problem and the fixing of the subway system. They're more priorities. I got one track cleaning car. Like I said in my last show, I wanted to have one for each track and go from there. So, yeah. Yeah, so that's what been going on here. That was just Tammy and Red. So if we bring this back up, no, this one, no, this one. There we go. Okay. Um, I did get the painting all done, but this one here I'm not happy with. This one right here, I can read it, but on a camera it's hard to see. That does say 247th Street and 50th Street Station. But yes, JD, I paid for a year. It was like almost, I think it was like $90 or something for the year. Or 100, yeah, 180, yeah, it was 182, and that's right, it was 182, right? So I got a year subscription for it. So if you want your images now, get your emails to me. So like this one here, 234th Street Station, that one looks good. That's pointing to going to 34th Street Station. That was that one. This one here, this one's going to 42nd Street Station. That one looks good. So down there, right here to 42nd Street Station, and then down here is 42nd Street. So, yeah, it does work. And I haven't used all the features of Meshy. They have a lot of different features, but the one I want to do is mainly take images and photos and putting them up there, and then generate it, and then it generates the model for me. So uh, that's what I'm using it for. So makes it easy because I took pictures of the rail of the track cleaning car and put them up there, and it made the models, but they were a little bit just too big, just a little too big, and it's almost exact same size, but it's just yeah, that's the problem, Bob. A lot of the free sites don't let you download things. That's like Meshy. They'll let you go on there but and add mods, photos, or type in a text, and you can generate from the text verbs, the words that you put in a text. Like you want to build a ship, and you would say, "Build me a ship with 3 stacks on it," or something like that, and then it would generate a model for it. But but then you can't download anything. It won't let you download anything or let you delete anything. So, and everything's protected. Um, all the models you create are in your own space. Nobody else can get to them. So that's what's nice about it. So, but it's pretty cool stuff, and that's what I've been playing around with, and that's why I offered it to people, because I know some people don't have 3D printers. Some people have 3D printers, but they don't have a resin printer. They can't print people. And if you want yourself, I know other guys offer to do things for it, but they charge you an arm and a leg for them, and you don't get the file. So um, once I create the file, I'll be glad to send it to you. If you have your own, if you eventually get your own resin printer, you can print yourself as many times as you want. Um, I usually I print the people in white, water-based resin. That seems to be the easiest color to cover with acrylic paints. So I have a flesh color paint, and it that's how you paint the faces and the hands and the legs if you're wearing shorts or something like that. So we'll see how that goes. But if I get emails from you, I'd be glad to make them for you. So just let me know. Hey, Wigwag, welcome. How you doing? So it's been an interesting few days after this long weekend, and yes, I am. What I do is when I hit the generate button, Bob, it generates the file and it puts it over on the right hand side of the screen, and you see the model there. And then I can just click on the download button, and then I select STL, and then I click on resize the file, and I change it. It defaults to meters, the size. 1,000 meters is the default setting, I guess. I don't know. And I change that to millimeters, and I make him, if it's people, I make them like 10 millimeters for HO scale or something like that. And then once I get them in my slicer program, which is Anycubic Photon Photoshop or Photon Shop, and I go in there, and then I take a 3D printed person I already have, and which is it's HO scale, and I put that person on the build plate, and then I just manipulate the size of the person to be, taller or shorter than the person that's on there. Depends on what type of person it is. So it's pretty simple. So wigwag workshop, yeah. So I got MRI tomorrow. I hope everything comes out good. Well, Bob, I wasn't resizing in Messi, and when I downloaded the first Park Rangers and copied it in to the sizing program, it was off the screen. They were really big, and then I had to highlight it and then reduce the image by percentages, and I knocked it down to like 1%. Then it got down to a manageable size. Then I saved that file as it was. Then I imported it back in again and did that. Yeah. So yeah, good luck with that MRI, and I hope it's nothing serious. I found out when I had my stroke that I can have an MRI, even though I have a pacemaker. See, my pacemaker was the latest and greatest at the time they put it in a few years back, and all they have to do is go in to the pacemaker and put it in test mode, and then that allows the MRI. Then it won't pop out of my chest when the MRI is run. So it's pretty cool how they can do that kind of stuff. Makes it better for everybody. That they needed an MRI to find out what was going on in my brain. Hey, that just gave me an idea. I got to get my image of my brain maybe I'll bring that up in Meshy, the image of that. And then I can create a 3D STL file of my brain and then print that out. And I can put the big brain on the layout, and then it'll be the brain of the system. How's that sound? Be interesting. All right, guys. Well, I think I'm going to call it a night. Sorry there, Wigwag. Again, good luck tomorrow. And we'll catch you all later. Thanks for everybody stopping in. I appreciate you all. And we'll keep you all in our prayers. Hope everybody's safe out there with all the craziness going on. And we'll keep in touch, and we'll catch you all in the next show. Everybody take care and have a good night. Enjoy the rest of your week too. Take care.